Recording. Good afternoon and welcome to our SC for Ed District 111 Q&A with Representative Wendell Gilliard. Your hosts for tonight are Mev McIntosh and Leanna Rossi for Charleston SC for Ed. We're going to give Representative Gilliard 3 minutes to provide some opening remarks, and then we will launch into our questions for Representative Gilliard. So you have the floor, sir.
Yeah, first of all, I want to thank everybody for having me. And you have to excuse my attire. Just leaving one event, and I'm into another. But the event was very successful. Okay, it was one of my events for Project Cool Breeze that I started about 20 plus years ago when I was on City Council, because I served 10 years, on City Council, and that was one of the charitable projects that I started. It was one of 3. Okay. But that was an outreach, one of 3 outreach that I do in the community, and has matured through the years. And the event was very successful. But also, this is my 5th term here as a state legislator, in which I'm very proud. I consider myself as a public servant, not a politician. Okay, I always tell people, some of the Democrats, they love to hate me, and the Republicans hate to love me. But the public servant, I've always been proud to know that I was born and raised here in Charleston, South Carolina, for a city which I keep near and dear. I do, like many of you, I love. And I've been doing this throughout the years. I'm a former United Steelworkers Union organizer for 20 plus years. And that's, believe it or not, when I graduated high school, I went to DeVry. And at DeVry, I used to go to every Saturday, 1 o'clock at Spelman. The late Miss Coretta Scott King used to have free seminars. One summer day I went there and I met some people from the United Steelworkers of America. And they said, look, if you want to continue your education, you come organize with us for 5 years. We'll teach you parliamentary government. You don't have to pay for nothing. So I decided to do it, fill out the application, took the test, and I was top class. They only could have gotten 35 students in, and I was one of the 35, and I was very proud of that. All through my tenure, I was moving around the country, helping unionize private business throughout the years, and I met a lot of political figures, and it just molded me for the future. So that's part of my background as a public servant, and I'm proud to be here. Hope I didn't take too long.
You're great. Thank you, Representative Gilliard. Thank you for those opening remarks. And I will go ahead and start with the first question. What is your opinion of the state of public education in South Carolina today?
Well, as far as the teachers are concerned, I always thought that they were overworked and underpaid. Okay, and that's always been my position as it pertains to the teachers. As far as the students, I always felt that as far as the curriculums, that we can always improve on the curriculums that we put in our educational institutions, whether it be K through 12 or whatever the case might be. Since I came to the State House, believe it or not, I had introduced a number of bills pertaining to education. One of the bills that I sponsored was the fact that I wanted to put industrial trades back in the curriculum in our educational system here in the state of South Carolina. And believe it or not, I'm still fighting for that to this day. And to be politically correct, Anita Zucker, a good friend of mine, she called me. She said, Wendell, I read your bill, but they're not calling it industrial trades anymore. They're calling it manufacturing. You got me? So advanced manufacturing was the terminology for industrial trades. I said, well, Ms. Zucker, I'm old school, but I'll go ahead and change the title of the bill, because we need that, okay? And sure enough, here comes all these companies, okay? Because I introduced the bill about 10 years ago, okay? And I told the General Assembly then, we need trades back. We need to put the trades back in the curriculum because these companies are coming, but we won't have the talent. And, I always use Boeing for a prime example. Okay, because when the CEOs came to Columbia and they had meetings with us, it was like, hey, we love South Carolina, but you guys are short of talent, and we need to do something to speed it up. So everything that I told the General Assembly when I first introduced that bill came to fruition, because we caught ourselves behind the 8 ball in a sense. But nevertheless, I feel that we're moving forward in that area. Okay. Now, I do think the class sizes has always been a problem in the hiring of the teachers. So we don't have enough teachers in these schools.
Great, thank you. Yeah, thank you. So the next question kind of, I guess you can talk more about what you were saying, because the second question is, what steps would you take to improve public education? And I think you talked a lot about that, but you can add on if you'd like.
I can read the riot act on that, sweetheart, because it starts at home. Okay, we have to ensure that they are coming up in a healthy environment. Because if it doesn't start at home, where else? Our teachers can't be the doctors, the lawyers, the nurses, the aunts, and now we're asking too much of our educators, and we must do things to relieve that. Okay, because I think we have our teachers just doing one too many things beyond the scope of what they were put there for, and I feel that that's a big problem here in the state of South Carolina. Okay. But other than that, I think I always hear the teachers say, well, it's not about the money. No, it's not about the money. It's never been about the money. But we have to, I do not believe one lawmaker should believe that a teacher should go out here as to keep up with the cost of living, okay? To keep her or his family right, that they have to go have 2 and 3 jobs. That's a no-no, and it's embarrassing. So, that's why I applaud people like Representative Cobb Hunter, okay, Representative Jefferson, Representative Govan, all my friends, Representative David Mack, who just retired this year, because, he was always big and high on education. Representative Robert Brown was on the education committee. So, it's a whole gamut of things that we're up there fighting for day in and day out. So, and I look, and even this last session, okay, we made some mild improvements. We gave that percentage because the average teacher, I think that they're pulling down 45, 50,000 now. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but we need to up that bar a little bit. I did read the Teachers' Bill of Rights. I don't think that should have been tampered with, because who better else to tell us the needs of the environment, the students, the institution as a whole, the educational institution, other than the teachers? You are the experts. I shouldn't have to tamper with it. Our job should have been to say, hey, this is what they want, give it to them, and let you ladies and gentlemen run with it, okay, knowing that you have our support. So that's where I'm at with that.
Thank you for that response, sir. The next question for you is, if elected, what would you do to address public education funding?
Definitely. Well, we need to put more monies toward funding, okay? Because what we're doing now, I consider just somewhat mediocre. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's not enough, okay? I would rather we could go into the GF, what we call the general funds, and appropriate monies for education in the areas, and some of the areas in the Bill of Rights Act that I feel is being addressed through the teachers, okay? Whether it's resources, okay, or, things along that line, bringing up modern technology in the classrooms and things like that. We have the funding, because believe it or not, now when we started this session, we started in the black. So we had monies to really move in that direction, and I'm not a blame name game person, but you have to look at who's in the majority and who's in the minority, okay? And I always tell the teachers, all my constituents, judge us by what we do, not what we say, okay? Look at who's introducing the bills. Look at who's standing up when the time comes for these bills to become law. You see, that's what's pivotal with me. That's how you can judge our efforts and what we're trying to do and who's doing it, more importantly, okay? Because I tell people, just if you want to know what Wendell Gilliard is doing in the area of education, go online, look at my bills that I introduce. You see, because when you introduce a bill, it's work to do with that bill. You become a lobbyist. I have to get with the chairman of each committee. I have to make sure that we have bipartisan support, and I have to drive that bill forward. Okay, so it's a long process, but I'm optimistic, and you have to be optimistic to be in this position in the state of South Carolina.
Well, thank you very much. And as educators, we're learning a lot about the legislative process.
Oh, yes. Okay, Representative Gilliard, next question. It kind of ties in with a lot with that you've been saying, and it seems just a little redundant. I apologize.
No, I don't mind.
What do you believe is the top issue surrounding public education in South Carolina? What's the top issue for you?
I really believe everything is in that Bill of Rights bill that was presented to us, giving the teachers the resources, giving teachers the value for what they're worth, just being there for the teachers. Okay, I believe it or not, just 2 days ago, I held a webinar with the superintendent of education, Ms. Mark. Okay, and I had some other lawmakers join me this week. It was very healthy exchange for about an hour and a half, because as you well know, we're dealing with the COVID-19 now, but the interest in what's important to us also is the teachers, because life moves on. And some of the teachers in Charleston County here, they went back to school this week. Okay, so that's why I felt, and I was glad she took up on my offer, because we had a lot of very pertinent questions of concern about COVID-19. And some of the things that we talked about is a continuance. You know, I'm 100,000% against the kids returning to school with the teachers. You know, and I sent the governor a letter. I sent Ms. Spearman a letter. I sent the school superintendent a letter. And she came forward and she said, yeah, I'm going to accept your meeting. But as far as the continuance, we had questions like, okay, the teachers go back in the environment. Are you going to pay for the testing? And how often are you going to test them for COVID-19? Well, I can tell you right now, she told us, no, it's the responsibility is going to be put on the teacher to keep the teachers to keep up with their testing. That's wrong. Okay. And then I also informed her that I'll be introducing a bill, a hazardous pay bill for all our teachers, because teachers are considered frontline workers. Okay. The staff is considered frontline workers. So we're you know, it's things like that, questions of concern, but it's all centered around, which goes back to your concern. You know, we talk about pay, we talk about resources, we talk about modern day technology, having those types of resources for our students. It's things along that line that's important to me. Downsizing of the class, I'm a strong believer. Some of these classes are overcrowded. We need to get proper staffing, people who are qualified. Nobody walk in the room and say, oh, I'm a teacher and I'm part-time. That's not good. Okay. So it's things along that line that is very important to me. What I do, I push legislation forward to make sure that we meet the needs of our teachers, our children, and our parents.
Thank you. Appreciate that. All right. I think Bev has the last question.
And as to Charleston County school educators, we appreciate your comments there. The last question for this evening, Representative Gilliard, is what are your opinions about the accountability measures used in public education today?
I think that they can be strengthened. I think they can be strengthened in all areas as far as accountability, you know, because it's very important that we have that. Because we have a lot of problems centered around that, but there is definitely room for improvement. And once again, I think you guys addressed that in your Bill of Rights, okay? And I think that we do have, you guys, you have the attention of the governor and the speaker, okay, J.D. Lucas, and I always felt he was a fair speaker. You know, we just been talking, we were in discussion with that about 3 weeks ago, I believe. Okay, I think when we get back in session, and we're supposed to meet 2 or 3 days in September, but that's specifically for something else. But when we go back the second week in January, I think you're going to see a lot of improvements in these areas. Some of the questions that you brought up, and many questions that I feel has already been addressed in the Bill of Rights. You're going to see a lot of movement in January when we get back. Okay, that'll be the second week in January. Here we are now, we're dealing with so many things, but I believe that the number one priority in the state, and should be, is educating our children, keeping our teachers in a safe environment, and seeing that the resources are there for our teachers. Okay.
Thank you so much, Representative Gilliard. And if there's for some closing remarks, anything you want to add? You've talked about a lot, and we greatly appreciate that. That's going to give informed voters and provide a lot of information concerning your views. We appreciate that. So if there's any closing arguments, or not arguments, closing remarks.
I would say this to the 700,000 plus students, the 85 school districts, the 50,000 plus teachers. Okay, we've got a challenge ahead of us, and we could get through this. Don't forget to go out and vote. I think that's very important. I don't care what party affiliation, but participate. Make the changes for the better. Get people in office who stands, who won't stand down for the justice of our children, our teachers, and education. We need strong people in these areas. And like my old friend Congressman Lewis would say, you see that thing says, good trouble? Yeah. I admire you, teachers, because you're always getting good trouble. Okay, so don't be afraid to talk to us and call us anytime. Okay, God bless you all.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate that.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, and this concludes our interview with Representative Wendell Gilliard for House Seat 111. Just a friendly reminder that the general election is November 3rd, and you will be able to find this video on the SC for Ed website under House Representatives interviews. And we just appreciate your time and your energy and your continued service in the General Assembly, Representative Gilliard, and we wish you the best of luck come November.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it. And
Thank
you have a good afternoon.
Go teachers.
Thank you.